Welcome, everybody. We are super excited to have you here. It's the first one of these we've done, so bear with us. We're on a platform that we don't control, so we're not responsible for any technical issues, but we're going to do the best we can here today and explain a little bit about Sea People. So, really quickly, some intros of who's here on the screen right now. We have Jean-Michel, the CTO. Jean-Michel, where are you right now? And give us like a your 1 minute spiel of your connection to boats.
Hey everyone, I'm in rainy Florida these days. Our daughter goes to college down here, so we're cheerleading her at her sport. And I've got a boat, and I'm planning. I mean, like Vagabond's doing a small trip, but I'm doing a Cape Town to Chesapeake in 3 weeks. So very busy with the app and boat stuff. So yeah, track me on Sea People. It'll be a long trip. So uh, hi to
Awesome.
everyone.
Ryan is one of the developers that is also somebody that anybody that has talked on support
Mhm.
has maybe spoken to Ryan as well. Ryan's background is blurred, but he is currently sitting on his boat, which is pretty awesome. So, hey, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm on Morgan 462 in the San Francisco Bay Area and in the middle of doing a whole refit of the boat, which is kind of fun.
Awesome. Sarah is on here. Sarah is our social media manager, and so a lot of the stuff that you've seen on socials outside of the app comes from Sarah's mind and Sarah's fingers, along with Elena and Riley's as well. Um, Jonathan is on here. He is one of our devs. He is in Brazil. Can you say what's up real quick, Jonathan?
Hey, everybody. My name is Jonathan. I'm from Brazil. Well, I'm summer here, but 7 p.m., so the sun is gone. I'm passionate about technology and bringing new pieces of tech to this world. So that's why I love so much to be
And
working
he
and
and he
here in
hasn't
this.
really boated much. Jonathan hasn't boated much, so I'm picking him up in Brazil next month, and he's going to do a Brazil to Granada leg with us. So he'll get his sea
Oh,
legs.
sick.
Exactly.
I
First time sailing. Yeah.
If you were in the Annapolis Boat Show, in anybody that was pop something in the chat really quick. But if you're at the Annapolis Boat Show, you may have met Jonathan. He came all the way from Brazil to be there in Annapolis. Um, and then we have Caroline. Caroline is CFO, does a lot of admin, and does a lot with the app stores right now. So yeah, Caroline, you want to say hey?
Hey everyone. Yeah, nice to see you all. I just I've been sailing pretty much since I left college, but boating all of my life. And so um I've always found a career in boating as well. So from the moment I graduated university, I've been working in the boating industry. So it's always kind of been a part of my personal and career life, which has been awesome.
Awesome. Riley and Elena, say hello to all those that may or may not know who you are.
Okay.
I'm Riley, and this is Elena.
Yeah.
We have a sailing YouTube channel, and we've been sailing around the world together,
Since 2014.
yeah, for a long, long time.
Yeah, and we met the other members you're seeing on screen here, Logan, Caroline, JM. Well, Logan and Caroline we met maybe what 4 years ago now, and we started this whole journey of Sea People. I think the original name was it going to be Seafarers? It took a while
Hey,
to get to Sea.
Seafarer.
There's been a few
Yeah.
iterations. What was it, Caroline?
Hey, Seafarer.
How
Seafarers
you
Hey,
said
Connect.
it?
Seafarer.
Hey,
There was a
Yeah,
Seafarer.
yeah,
Seafarers
Something
yeah.
like
Connect
that.
in there at one
Yeah.
point, and then there was
Yeah.
something that had to do with Hans Kilo or something to do with the Kilo flag, which means something about communication. I don't know.
Glad we got to
Yeah.
see people. But yeah.
Yeah. Really
Yeah.
quick, there's a little bit of a delay, Riley and Elena. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, that's all good. That's pretty much us.
Um, I saw in the note there that there might be an issue with the link. Jonathan, you said there that you fixed it. Is there okay. All right. So
Yeah,
if anybody sees anywhere, Sarah, can you just check social media really quick in case anybody's saying they don't have a link and maybe tell them to try again if there is an issue.
Yes.
Awesome. Cool. So I'm going to take Jonathan and Sarah and Ryan, and I'm just going to move them over. Thanks for being here. I wanted to introduce them. I'm going to move them over to being a attendee, and just to kind of clean up how many faces you're looking at here. All right. Thanks, guys.
Right.
Okay, cool.
I knew people were going to want to know what the hats.
Yeah, people are commenting about the hat slogan.
Well,
Yeah, right,
funny
a
they
hat.
should say that, because today we have some hats here and we have some chances for people to win some hats. So,
Ah,
all right, cool.
What does one have to do to win a hat?
So let's go ahead and get into that. So um, if you're on your computer, go ahead and pull up your phone and go to SeaPeople and go to the SeaPeople group, the SeaPeople official group. I can go ahead and screen share if anybody doesn't know how to do that. Let me just go ahead and do it. Head over to groups and SeaPeople. If you're on your phone on Zoom, you should be able to open SeaPeople. Don't swipe up hard and close Zoom, but you should be able to swipe it up, and Zoom should stay in the corner panel there. I'll give you a quick share here of how to get to the groups and join the group. And what we're going to do is we're going to ask a couple questions during this session. Can everybody see my screen now?
Yeah, it looks good, Logan.
Yeah.
Logan.
Cool. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to head over here to groups. I'm already a member of the SeaPeople official group. It's right here. If you are, you can open it. If you aren't, then you just come back here and you can just type in SeaPeople official and find the group and join the group. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask a couple questions. Let's see what the latest post was. I'm going to create a post. This is a good tutorial, really quick on creating a post anyway. It's just going to say, drop your webinar. I'm great at typing with my fingers, by the way. Answers here. And we're going to save that. So what you're going to do, if you have an answer, you're just going to tap on the comments and you're going to drop your comments, your answers in the comments there, okay? Cool. And I will try to stay away from the center of that too while I'm screen sharing so that I'm not blocking that. What percentage of SeaPeople users, and the closest one without going over wins, what percentage of SeaPeople users are open to crewing? So go ahead and pop your answers in there. We're going to go ahead and keep churning on, and then we'll check back in with those answers here in a second for a chance to win a hat. So before we go on, just after introducing everybody on the team, I do want to give a huge thanks to everybody that's supporting what we're doing right now. There are our patrons, people that have joined on a patron plan. I want to give them a personal shout out right now. That's Sean, Nathan, Joe, Eben, Darren, Christopher, Todd, Neil, Colin, Don, and Brooke. You guys are legends for believing in what we're doing. And everybody that is on a plus plan. We're not here to hawk paid plans, but we are here to say thanks. Anybody that's supporting what we're doing, we greatly appreciate it. And then of those of you that are just using the app every day, we sincerely appreciate you and you being here. We got a lot of percentages coming through on the group chat. Remember, drop your answers to the questions in the SeaPeople group. So join the SeaPeople group and drop your answer in the comments there. All right, so without further ado, we're going to hop into some tutorials. We're going to hop into some of our favorite features here as SeaPeople creators, and we're going to walk you through a couple of our favorite things. It's not a bad idea to maybe have the app open. If you want to have the app open and follow along, we're going to go through quite a few. So let me get my screen sharing again here. While I'm doing that, why don't we go first with Elena? Why don't you kind of tell us what your favorite feature of the latest features is, and I'll get the screen sharing loaded up.
Yes, okay. So I am in love with the interactive logbook. I'm so happy we have this interactive logbook, and we wish we'd been those sailors back in the day who had kept a physical logbook, but unfortunately, that just was not us.
I should
So
have been.
I know, I mean, it's the right thing to do, but now we have a digital one and it's all okay. So you can draw your past trips, as many of you should already know. You can track your trips within SeaPeople and you can import them and start compiling this digital logbook to look back on someday. And so now we have this beautiful button up the top. When you go to your profile, you go logbook, it says interactive logbook. When you click on it, you'll see a world map and then you'll see your trip cards and you can actually swipe through them and it'll take you back to that moment, but with photos and videos now, which I just think is so unique. Um, so
It's super handy, hey.
yeah. Yeah, and actually the logbook, it's been a dream of ours for a long time to have this place you go in your profile to be like the ultimate kind of resume to get a job on a boat or just yeah, a nautical career because you can tell a lot about someone from this part just seeing where they've been, how long it took them, and the photos and videos, of course. So, yeah.
There was some talk of that also being involved in insurance, so you can prove your miles as well at one point.
Yeah, someday I think that we
Gotcha.
were definitely going to be there, Riley. I think you're spot on that insurance is getting tougher and tougher, and the ability to prove your experience is going to be required by insurance companies. And having a digital logbook you can export easily to them is going to be a really handy and nifty tool.
It certainly will. The insurance for our trimaran is ridiculous. Anything that we can do to get those premiums down would be handy.
Caroline, what about you? What's kind of your favorite of the new things we launched with 1.1 that you'd kind of like to give some people a tutorial on, and I'll walk it through on the screen.
Yeah, I think for me, it's the ability to tag crew in a post or like the shared log booking feature. I am personally really bad about when I get on a boat. I wouldn't say I'm really bad, but Logan's way better about starting tracking or starting all of the um like navigation tools. Like he like clicks everything on when we get on, and so he is usually like responsible for the chart plotter and things like that. So I love the fact that he can track and it'll show up in my logbook. So, first of all, you need to make sure that the other person that's going to be on the boat with you has SeaPeople. So, if they don't already, send them an invite link, get them on there, make sure that they get their profile sorted out. And then you can add them as a crew member to your boat, or you can just add them as a crew member for that trip. So whether they are like normally going out on the boat with you, you'd want to add them to the boat as crew. But if they're just out for the day, you would want to track your trip as normal with the boat that you're using or that you're on that day. And then you would go to edit your trip. And at the bottom of the editing your trip, you would click on edit your crew and you could just add that person or that crew member for that trip specifically. So here, if you go down to the bottom, yeah, there you go. And you can add a crew member at the bottom. Or if they don't have SeaPeople yet, you can click that link at the top that says invite friends to SeaPeople. And with that, they can create a profile so that they can begin their log booking journey. But yeah, I think that's my favorite part is that then it'll show up in both of your logbooks and it will also show up on the feed if you choose for the trip when you save to go to the feed. It'll show up as both of those people being on that trip. So yeah.
Awesome. And as you saw there, we went to the boats to try to edit the boat, we had a crash. So I'm sure that the devs have already seen on that and that's in the bug list to smash tomorrow. So a good reminder that we're 4 months since launch of this app, and it is a big app, and it's a lot going on, and so we're every day we have ways that we can improve, and the more you guys bug report and the more you report any kind of stuff like that, the quicker we smash them out. So, cool. Jean-Michel, what's your favorite thing that we've done since 1.1?
So one of the things you're going to notice and see people that we're trying to do more and more, and hopefully some of you have seen it. Maybe if you haven't, this will be kind of interesting. Is we're kind of taking like the best ideas of boating and also realizing what people actually do on the water, right? Like we live on the water, like we know what it's like. So one of the things that a lot of trackers don't realize is when you're in Sea People and you're anchoring or you're ending your trip, you're exhausted. Just want to open a beer, right? So when you're tracking now, you can just go, actually, yeah, if you start tracking, you can just go end and save. And that just puts in your logbook. It's quiet, it's silent, and you can get back to it later and add photos and add updates. And after you've had your beer and or you've cleaned up the mess from your passage, you can go update it. So I think that's what we've been trying to do for like all these little peats of just having a really good kind of understanding of what you're actually doing on a boat. And for me, these like when I'm done a trip, the last thing I want to do is put photos and say what happened. I've got to reset, maybe get a night's sleep and do that the next day. So that's one that's great. And then maybe I just love groups now too. I mean, groups are just, we've wanted to do that from the beginning. Actually, funny stories. Groups were in the first alpha, I believe, of SeaPeople before we kind of threw it out and started again. And brought them and then ended up doing tracking first. And we wanted to kind of anyway, there's a bunch of stuff we did. Groups are coming back now, and I'll tease you a bit later. We have tons of stuff happening around groups now, but although it's fun having many thousands of people in the app. We do like getting together with a smaller group sometimes. So I think we've seen what 400 or 500 groups being created already. So it's kind of I think us as devs will be doing a lot of group stuff. So get used to them and get used to a lot of new features coming out.
Awesome. Yeah, that end and save is hugely helpful. I do a lot of boating these days on like a center console, and you're coming back into the slip, and it's a little bit different than the big boat where your day was a little slower, you're putting the anchor down, and everything's moving a little bit faster, and there's kids going on. So that end and save button going straight to your logbook has been awesome. And then
Exactly.
you can edit it. I showed a little preview there. You can edit it afterwards and change who sees it, add your title and media, and it's just cool.
Yeah. And I think Gabriella from the UK just asked a question related to that, which maybe I'll just grab right away, which she's like, the other thing that happens in your tracking is sometimes you forget to start or you forget to finish. And we added a little pencil icon on your track. So you can do an end and save after you've had your rest, whatever. You can open it up and you're like, oh, I missed something. No problem. You can extend your track. You can add to the beginning to the end and kind of make it your own. So um, we don't want to be like Strava where we're like super picky. Like it's your track. You can edit it, tell the story you want to in the app. You can trim it, do all kinds of things. So yeah, Gabrielle, great question. You can definitely crop it. And some people have missed that little pencil icon there, but yeah, look for the pencil icons all over the app. It's your trips. You can do what you want with them.
Awesome. Riley, how about you?
Um,
What have you loved since we launched 1.1 a couple weeks ago?
So I really like the hails feature on the Explore map. You can imagine it like a VHF message that sticks around. So as you're looking around the Explore map, you can see there's little orange radios in different locations. So as you click on that, you can see it can be about anything, and anyone can join the conversation. So I was looking around the other night, and there was a guy who was selling a boat in Australia. One guy lost his phone on a beach. Presumably, he'd had a couple too many beers in the Bahamas, so he was looking for help there. And then there was a guy that was looking for a spare fuel injector for his outboard, and that was the thing that made me think. I really like that one because it's a safety bonus as well. Because if that guy is able to find his fuel injector for his outboard through our app, then all of a sudden he's you know, able to help other people rather than being a liability in an anchorage. And yeah, it's those little things like that that we're able to help people with that I just think as a sailor that's been on the ocean long enough now, I really, really love that aspect of things.
Mm.
Yeah, awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, hails are just incredible. And now they have an expiration, which is even cooler. Nothing gets stale. So just like Riley
Yeah,
was saying, that guy that had the issue, once it's solved, you're not stuck looking at that hail forever, which is pretty cool. Or if you're really involved in it, it does stay in your chats. So you can keep chatting with people. You just only thing I would love to add to that, because I think it gets missed because sometimes when you create the hail, you don't know it, is when you create the hail and you adjust how many people are on here. I just scrolled the hail over to a different place because that's a new feature we have, which is pretty cool. But let's create a hail here. All these people, you can choose the expiration, but what matters here with the radius is that the people in this cone are going to get a push notification, which is pretty cool, right? That's like a glowing alert that they're gonna be notified. So keep that in mind too. Maybe you don't want to notify all those people that far away if it's something that you just need something quick for. So
And we
um,
modeled hails after VHF because, like, I don't know, I leave my VHF on after I get somewhere, or whatever. I'm like, what are people talking about, around here? Like, it's a fun little kind of cool culture thing that I think a lot of other kind of cultures don't really do. And you learn about new
Yeah.
things. But then how many times you've been like, oh, did anyone hear what happened? And like, that's where we're trying to bring, some digital stuff and go, hey, that's not going to happen with these hails. You can come into them if you turn on your phone an hour too late, you can still see those hails that were created around you, right? So we're really trying to take all these things we do on a boat and add a bit of digital sparkles to them to make them kind of shine. So hails are fun, and if you're not a boater, hails are a great way to learn about stuff like what are people doing on boats and what's problems, and it's kind of a cool education thing. Now they do disappear. I think we're gonna have to think on that one a bit, because I think there's a bunch of cool things that disappear if you don't see it, but there's a lot of these that get created. So in some ways, create them, they're going to go away. Like they should be as easy as going to 16 and asking something. But I think we are deciding how to, should we keep them somewhere? How do we highlight the really cool ones? Anyway, TBD. Love some feedback on that.
all right. So hey, we've got a really good example. Not calling anybody out here, but just the comments, it does get lost, and this is always educational for us. So this was a post here, and the comments are here. The comments were great. Where is the hat? Boat hat. Bring it on. All right. So really quickly, it looks like the closest person um, for how many people? What did we do? Open to crew?
I think there's a couple. I think
There's a couple. So do we
Shane,
go with the first
Yeah.
person that got it right?
yeah, it might be Shane at 20. I think it's 21, 22%. So whoever got 20, 21% is going to get the hat.
The first person
I
one
see
that said that
Darren
one
has
was
20.
Darren Johnson.
There, Johnson. There you
Darren
go.
Johnson, well done. Darren, shoot us a DM and we'll get you a hat. DM SeaPeople official and we'll get you a hat. And then cool. So let me just pop back to maybe my favorite really quick, and it is live share into the web. This was a heavy lift for everybody involved on what do we want it to be like. The devs spent a lot of time on this one trying to get it right. We still have a lot that we can improve on it. So this first version, though, even as a first version, I think it's pretty awesome. So essentially, when you start tracking, you can share your trip live to the web, meaning you can send it to your mom, dad, grandparents. Your kids can send it back to their, kids in their classroom to follow along, however you want to use it. You can copy paste the link. If you want to see what it looks like, you can do that in here now. This is the web view, obviously. But when you share live to the web, if I was tracking right now, it would show all my tracking stats. They would be showing up here. My track line, my destination. It's got this great live weather overlay from Windy, as well as forecast that I can check out. And yeah, everybody can see your crew and can see everything. So this is kind of our ability for SeaPeople to allow you to get rid of some of those subscriptions you have to DeLorme's and Spots and other satellite trackers. And sorry, it's kind of distracting to try to do that and talk at the same time. So you can share live when you're sharing on the web. And then also when you start a live trip, maybe some of you have noticed, you might not have if you don't follow anybody that live tracks regularly. But live tracks will show up. None of my friends that I follow are live tracking at the moment, but they will show up here at the top of your following feed. And you can follow along. So
Yeah.
keep an eye out for anybody that's live tracking. You can comment, you can kudo on those live tracks. While you're live tracking, you can hop over here and share to the web. if you want to take a peek at what it looks like, tap that button there so you can see what it would look like when you share live to the web. Anybody else want to pop in too on anything live web sharing? Go for it.
Yeah, I think the idea around like having it on the web is like for your, your parents, your friends who don't really want to download the app, like they just really want to know where you're at. Like a super easy way, and they can see the weather, what the next week looks like for weather. So it's kind of like an easy way. The other thing that's actually shipping this week is it's also a big privacy thing now. So you could be hidden or pinned in the app, but you'll be able to share your private link again with friends and family. So people in the app won't be able to see where you are, but your friends and family will as well, so that we can, again, some people want to be a bit more hidden, and so be it. So that's kind of pretty cool. And we've seen some people like, share it with their whole, Facebook family group, and it's just the easiest way to track where people are.
Yeah. I know
Yeah.
I mean, whenever we go offshore, even these days, it's just usually to the Bahamas, just a quick jump across the Gulf Stream. But our parents, since we have kids on board, our parents are dying to know where we are and if we're across. And so them being able to follow that web link is peace of mind for everybody back at home. It's pretty cool. Um,
Yeah. And just being able to share your profile and trips too with a web share, I think is pretty awesome because it kind of gives you like a built-in blog almost. Like you can share that link and somebody can check out like where all you've been without like for my grandma, for instance, like if I told her to download an app, I don't know that she would know what an app is, but she can at least click on that link and go see like all the pictures of the places we've been and check that out. So I think that's pretty important. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lot of questions about privacy. And maybe if I can take like a minute to just say kind of like our philosophy on privacy and SeaPeople is we've been trying to balance two things. And I think it's we're trying to make the app unique is us boaters, we're actually pretty like sharing your AIS location is like a safety thing, right? So in some ways, when I'm on my boat, I'm like very permissive. I'm like, I want everyone to know where I am because if something happens, I want to get some help, right? So we're in a mode where like you get a lot of value by being open, and that's why one of the things we've done that's I think different from all the other apps out there, if you ask, is we've spent so much effort in making it so that you can go live. People's location in the app is pretty accurate, so you can actually get help. Like we did so much work on that, but we also realize either you're not on the water, or two is you do like you're in the Bahamas where there's like you actually safety is not a big thing. You're going to see land all the time. Like you can pin yourself or go hidden, right? And it was really important for us to give you control of it, but also recognize that boaters going live when you're doing passages and all that is something we just do. So make that as easy as possible. We're trying to make everything as easy as possible. If you want to be super privacy conscious, and I'll tell you, if you go hidden and pinned and you never share your link, there is no location data coming off your phone. Like, and you might see a little blue dot of going, hey, we know where your location is if you track. That's mostly just so we can draw a line, but there's nothing going to our servers at all, right? So just and we spend a huge amount of time making sure that's true. And when you're tracking, it can stay all on your phone if you want. And then it's up to you to go, oh, okay, actually, I'd like to share this link with my friends and family. Cool. To do that, obviously, we have to know where you are. That gets uploaded to our servers, but you can erase that whenever you can. So anyway, just long-winded answer. We spend a huge amount of time to make the app easy for people's location to be accurate, but also give you like full control all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, awesome. Let's take a quick break for a poll. So let's do our first poll here. And let's ask, what do you all want to see next? So this poll is going to come up on your screen. So now that we've talked about a couple things, I want everybody can see that. You should be able to pop in answers on the poll. And then when we'll give this about a minute. And then we'll share some of these answers. So the options are, what do you think we should focus on next? Better crew finding and matching, dating, finding or matching. So that would be how to find dates. That would be phone and chart plotter integrations. So being able to go from your your plotter or your watch or any kind of, it says phone and chart plotter, but really any device. More live trip interacting. So like being able to offer a trip update mid-trip and talk and chat with people while you're out there and put photos and updates on track lines. And the last option there is private groups and or other related group enhancements if you want to see groups have some more functionality around them as far as threading and stuff like that goes. So, all right, so let's give that another 15 seconds. Get your votes in now if you can. This is very interesting because these answers are different, very different than what comes through from the polls that people get 2 weeks after having SeaPeople in an email. So I think we're learning a little bit about who answers email surveys and who comes to things like this.
Should we be able to see like live answers, or we
Yep.
only see it at the end?
Nope. No, I'm gonna do it now.
We'll have to put
Mm.
polls into SeaPeople, I guess, and make it better than this.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Okay, now we can see it.
All right. So 26% of you said you want more crew matching. That's great. I think crewing has shown itself to be there's a great workaround. It's not really a workaround, but people can offer themselves up as crew and you can filter the map by people looking for crew. You can see it in their profiles and you can send them DMs. It's a great way to find crew. People have also used Hails to find crew, and there's some crew groups in the groups page. There's a few ways to find groups, but there's a lot of ways that we can improve on that and matching people. So that's interesting. And wow, phone and chart plot integrations with other devices, that's mind blowing because that is not that's not the answers that we've been getting from other polls in the email. So that's really good info. I appreciate that, everybody.
Serious boaters here, Logan.
Yeah,
No
seriously.
dating. We want it on our chart plotters.
Cool. Well, Len, we will start digging into that, and we'll probably fish for some more info. So keep an eye on the SeaPeople group, and we'll ask some questions and get some more feedback about what you want for those integrations, and we'll go from there. We are burning time fast, so we're going to go really fast on these next ones. I wanted to ask everybody if they had a hidden gem of something that's maybe not a big giant feature, but something they thought maybe people weren't seeing in the app. Elena, do you have something that maybe you could share that you think or you've heard of people not knowing of that you were surprised they didn't know about? Or maybe
Yes, actually, I've had so many messages since we launched 1.1 just about crewing because it's something that we talk about in the videos about how it's the best place to come if you want to crew for and yeah, put yourself out there so other sailors can see that you're available. So when you first set up your SeaPeople profile, if you didn't get a chance to turn your crewing on, don't worry, it's easy to fix. You just go to your profile. In the top right, there's a little pencil. You scroll down and then turn on Can Crew. And in this little section, you can adjust your dates that you might be available to jump aboard someone's ship. You can also select where in the world you'd like to sail, which I love. And that's all it takes. Now, on the Explore map, any sailor or boater who is looking for crew can filter and see your profile now. So if you are using your profile as a resume, I do really recommend adding in a bunch of past trips if you can, as many photos and videos of yourself as you can, and just update your bio to look semi-professional if you're trying to get a job. So once you've changed your crewing status in settings, you go to Explore Map. And if you want to find boats who are actually looking for crew, go to the filters up the top. You'll see a bunch of different filters and scroll along till you see crewing. That's it. And if you click searching for crew, that's now going to filter all the people in the world who are looking to have crew aboard their vessel. And so this is really cool. You can zoom in, you can see their profile, who they are, maybe how far they've sailed, get a good idea of who they are before, if you wanted to, you could send them a message being like, hey, is this position still open? Are you still looking for crew? Where are you headed? And so it's the opposite if you're a captain. You just select the other box, which is which is available to crew. And that's going to show you all the humans in the world who are available to jump aboard your boat. And you can do the same thing. Check them out, see if they're okay to have aboard and give them a message.
Yeah, you want to do some snooping as a captain.
Yeah, and it's great for snooping. It's the best place, SeaPeople. So yeah, that's pretty much how you put your hand up to crew.
awesome. Yeah, that's awesome, Elena. And there's a lot of websites out there that charge a lot of money to find crewing. So we're hoping that one alleviates some pain, takes some barriers down, and allows you to really look in people's logbooks and do some due diligence on skippers before you crew and do due diligence on people before they crew for you. So well said. Just to move fast, Caroline, was there something that you have noticed that maybe people haven't seen or you think is a
Uh,
hidden gem?
yeah, I think we've covered a lot, right? We've covered a lot of like awesome things with the update and kind of hidden gems. I think we all notice. But I think for me, like settings, what you can find in the settings tab. So if you go to your profile and then you click on the gear wheel at the top, you can find like for one, if you're pinned, you can select to move pin to the end of your track. So you can be pinned in a location of your choosing, but then you can still track your trips. And then you can move the pin to the end of your track trip. So even as you're moving along or like cruising or going on day sales or whatever, you can update your location as you track, but it's pinned to that location. So it's not like following you through the city or through the town as you walk for groceries or whatever. So pretty cool. And then just a couple quick other things to hint on, like in settings, is that one, you can change your map. So you can change it from like standard light, hybrid, satellite, which I think as sailors, we all have like a particular way we like to view a map. So I think that one's pretty cool and important and sometimes missed. And then also in settings, there's like data reduction, which can help with like battery consumption. And then the measurements, because there's the imperial metric battle forever of why the US uses imperial. So you can change that. And I'm trying to think, looking really quick, but
That's great. That's good.
yeah,
I think
I
that's
think
really
that's
good. I
good.
think the pin in the end of the track is a great one for keeping yourself somewhat private, not showing where you go home at the end of night. So it's just checking where you're tracking and like
Yeah,
you said, not at the
yeah,
grocery store. So stay
yeah,
live if you're
yeah,
cruising. If you're out there moving around and you're going and you're like in AIS mode essentially if you're live. And then if you're a day boater or you're keeping your tracking on and they do a lot of shoreside movements, pinned to the end of the track is really helpful.
Yeah,
yeah.
and a fun story is we actually had geofencing and tried to guess when people wanted to turn tracking on or off. And during the beta testing, we realized that it's actually really hard to determine when someone's, on a like actually getting in their dinghy or walking, and so we'd kind of auto start trips at the wrong time. So now we're like, that's where like, why don't you just stay pinned when you're not tracking, and when you do track, you can go live automatically, and people can see where you are, and then when you pin whenever you stop. And I'd love to find a way where we could be super smart and just like magically know when you're actually moving and all that. So we'll keep on that because I think that's why a lot of people want to get this into chart plotters so that it's like basically we can do that a bit more automatically. But yeah, I'm
Mhm.
like you, Carolyn. Like I'm usually pinned, and then I go live when I'm tracking, and then that way everyone can see me. And then I pin at
Yeah,
my anchorage, and then
right.
they can't see me go to my grocery store or go find my secret walk or snorkeling spot.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
Riley, did you have a hidden gem you wanted to let people know about?
Yeah, something that I think lots of people might miss would be the drag down chat maps. So if you just go to that, Logan, you can see once you're in the conversation that you can be messaging people. There's actually a map at the top there, so it will show you where everyone that's in the chat is located, which is handy if you've been passive aggressive to someone in the chat and they're just around the corner. You could potentially avoid them, or maybe go and insult them in person. So it's a really neat feature that yeah, you can see where everyone is, and again, it's what we've been doing with the location based yeah, just seeing where people are that you're chatting to.
It's awesome. I called somebody out the other day when we were in the Bahamas for the regatta because they hadn't left where they were yet. They were supposed to meet us somewhere at a certain time, and I was like, "Dude, I can literally see that you haven't even gotten underway yet." It's pretty
I mean,
handy. Are you,
yeah.
especially
If
for
you
power
scrape the
boaters?
internet for every WhatsApp chat where they send a screenshot of a Google map and they circle it with the pen, like how many
Yeah.
times you do that? We're like, we
Yeah.
can just solve that.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah. You literally
Wow,
can.
super
Oh,
fun.
and actually, Riley forgot the one thing is if you're tracking and you're live on the chat map, it actually shows you moving. So it's great for create a chat with a buddy group if you're buddy boating, and you basically have a quick filter of the people that you want to see where they're at, and you actually see them moving as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Literally never say where are you again. It's that's the secret.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
um I'm gonna really quick, maybe Elena, maybe you might be a better person to ask about this one, as far as sharing your animations, and how people might be able. That's what I was going to mention, but maybe you could mention how people would share these animations of their trips, because I do think
Yeah.
that they get a little lost sometimes.
Yeah, guys, if you haven't, I'm sure you have clicked on your trip and clicked on the map. When you do that, it's going to show you where you went. It's a beautiful animation. And if you want to use this to the best of your ability, I recommend what we do is we actually screen record. We're working on Jean-Michel to actually have a download button. So maybe Logan will put a poll up. Can you do that, Logan, just to
Oh, he
see
did,
how
but I didn't
many
see a poll about that though. It wasn't in Logan's questions. I don't.
Let's do a poll real
can we
quick.
do one? Because if we
Let's
get
do a
enough
poll.
votes, maybe we can have a download button. But for now, what we're doing is we're actually screen recording our beautiful maps because, yeah, animations do cost a lot of money ordinarily. So make the most of this, you guys. Click on the map. For an iPhone, you just swipe down, and in the bottom left, there's a little circle button, and that is screen record. I don't know how to screen record on an Android, sorry. So if someone knows how to, please put it in the chat, or maybe Logan if you could tell us. But yeah, when you're in your trip, click the map, screen record, and you can trim the beautiful animation and you can put this easily in a reel if you wanted. You could put it in a YouTube video to show people where you sailed and the little stats. Those are great. And also, if you just want to send that independently to a friend or family member, you can do that. Um, and also, I wanted to mention like just editing your track afterwards is super easy. I think JM mentioned it before, but if you click the pencil in your trip card, you can edit the track line to shorten it, extend it. You can add a stop if you missed that while you were tracking. So yeah, that's a little hidden gem that I think you should take advantage of because the devs have done a really good job with those maps.
Perfect. So there's your poll results. There we go. We've got the questions were for trip animations, saving them to your device, dying for it. I would use sometimes. I won't use, and no reason to download for me. So
90%.
appreciate the answers.
Yeah, I think it'll be great, especially if we can get it in landscape. Imagine putting that in a YouTube video. We'd save so much money personally because our animators are very, very expensive. So selfishly, I just want it.
All righty, cool.
Is it time for another quiz or another question for a hat, Logan?
Yeah, sure, let's do that. That's kind of us
Just
all.
because I'm looking at the Q&A and one of the questions I think pertains to the next hat question. So
Which one is that? Do you want to go ahead and ask
it
the question?
is Bob who says there's a hunk of Sea People features that also work for us land lovers. Do you expect much uptake for us? Do you encourage us to use the app that way? So wasn't one of the questions about the breakdown of shoresiders, people living ashore, landlubbers, whatever you want to call them, or boaters? What's the breakdown of users as a percentage?
Yeah, what percentage of users are shoreside? Let's just go with
Yeah,
the shoreside.
let's
What percentage
that's
of
a
users in
simple way of
SeaPeople
saying
right
that.
now are shoreside? Drop a comment in the original post in the SeaPeople group. Um, drop a comment in the original SeaPeople post in the group.
And maybe
What
explain
percentage of
shoreside,
people?
Logan. Like I think at least I didn't know what you mean, but basically means if during onboarding they said that they're interested in boating but don't own a boat and generally aren't, haven't boated a lot basically. But because a
Yeah,
lot of us boaters are shoreside for half the year or whatever, but this is mostly people who've joined Sea People who said that don't own a boat but like to get involved.
yeah, exactly. If you're just not actively on the boat in the moment, that's not who we're talking about. If you've got a boat behind the house or it's winterized for the winter and you're off for the off season, that's not really who we're talking about. We're talking about people that are trying to get into it or maybe used to be into it and they've kind of totally given up their boat. But I think everybody in the shoreside space, um, to answer, I guess it was Bob Caroline's question,
Mhm.
um, we were very purposeful in designing the app and Riley and Elena promoting the app to everybody, boaters and shoresiders, because of what both parties can bring. So shoresiders have immense value to bring to SeaPeople because not only is the crew stuff we were talking about, right, and offering this huge pool of people to crew from, but There's also shoreside support. So you can put things in your profile to offer shoreside support. We have an incredible amount of stories of people that shoresiders are extremely active in reading people's hails and helping them find parts on shore. Somebody the other day in Florida was looking for a part, and a shoresider said, "Hey, I'll run to West Marine and bring that to the dinghy dock." It was unbelievable how supportive that shoresider was. And so, yeah, you as boaters, you need to never hesitate to pull into an anchorage, make a hail, ask for something like laundry. You can even, am I still screen sharing, by the way?
Yeah.
You can actually filter by support types and see what people can offer. So you can pull into a harbor and you can do things like find somebody that can give you a ride to a grocery store. For a cruiser, that's an important one, or let you do some laundry at the house. Um, there's also in groups, shoresiders, whether they're ex-boaters with expertise to add, or you as a boater can help. Like I think that's a big one is taking a moment as a boater that's gotten here and remember what it took to get there, right? It's scary to buy your first boat. It's scary to untie lines for the first time. It's scary if you've got kids or if you're really young or really old or whatever reason you might be held back from getting into boating. So we can all as voters do what we can to help foster the next generation of voters of any age. When I say next generation of voters, but answer those tough questions. Get in there and talk to them. When join the boat owners group that you're in, because non-boat owners are in those groups asking, right? Hey, is this a good boat for me? And offer that advice to help get more people into it. So yeah, thanks for that question, Bob, because um, it is really important that I think we foster both types of people here in the app. Does anybody have the results? Has anybody looked at the group to have the to tell us who the winner is?
I'll just jump in later.
All right, cool. All right, sounds good.
Yeah, it
Okay.
looks like, yeah.
I pulled this hail up. Speaking of hails the other day, I want to harp on this for 1 second. I pulled this up while we were chatting, but I think this one, these all expire pretty quickly, and it just shows the this is a very much a cruisers related hail, but it still kind of shows how quickly people hop on. This person was asking about had a generator issue. What is this? We've got 5 minutes later, we start having some help. I can drag down the map too, and what's cool is some of this help came from as far away as Australia. So that's somebody that was looking in the hails list, not even somebody that was notified of the hail. But you can also see the number of people that joined the hail that were close to that. It gets concentrated. So yeah, don't hesitate to use the hails. They're for that short-term advice, that quick fix of something that you need, or you want to let people know that you're heading over to a bar for happy hour, or you're in the middle of Colorado and you want to get some boat people together to tell stories and warm up a little bit. Um, yeah, use those hails as much as you can. I think their ruts really has a chance to change the way boaters interact on the water. Jean-Michel, do you have a winner?
Sorry, I was distracted with like the 22 open questions. I
Oh,
think we have a winner for the hat. Oh,
yeah. Who
I
got the
think it's
closest in the what percentage
it's
of users are short-sighted?
I haven't scrolled.
I
I have to
think
do
it's
that later.
Eray, Eray.
Actually,
Was it
Lena, the first one I saw
Lena?
was Lena
Oh,
Stravreva at 49.
All right.
let's see.
If you are Lena and Caroline, who did you say that was close? Since you said them out loud, let's
We
get
can give
them.
two out.
Yeah,
I assume we have
right.
Yeah,
two.
Yeah.
yeah. Let's
Let's
see
give
if we.
two
Well,
out.
I was going. Okay,
Two hats.
because that would have been like 5 minutes ago. Yeah. The second answer was Eray, Eray, 50%.
All right. So the two of you send SeaPeople Official a DM. And if you win the first one, send SeaPeople Official a DM so we can get you a hat sent out. Um, awesome. So let's take a sec to answer some of your questions. The way I would love for this to work is you should be able to raise your hand. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the Q&A. We're going to take the questions that have the most upvoting. and we're going to answer those. I'm going to try on the first one, if Zoom will let me, to actually let you come on and say hello and ask your question, and then we'll answer it. So, Caroline, do you have the first question that we need to answer that was upvoted the most from?
Yep. So the first question is from Phil on Electric Passage that had, let's see, and I click answer live. Is that correct, Logan? Is that?
Yeah, actually, so you can sort by most upvotes, and the most upvote one right now looks
You got to
by
sort by
like
upvotes,
Julie.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Okay. Got it. I was just doing it in order by, okay. Okay, Julie. We'll go with Julie. Sorry about that, Phil.
Julie, try to raise your hand really quick, see if I can bring you in so you can ask the question yourself. We'd love to meet you. All right, let's see. Promote to panelist. There's Julie. You'll have to unmute Julie, and you don't have to turn your screen on if you don't want, but if you can, unmute and turn your
Yeah,
screen
I'm
on.
in the
Hey,
dark. The electricity
Hi.
is still out, so yeah, both live. Um, Hi, hello, I'm Julie
hi Julie.
from Nauburo, and I had a question. I think it was about the event section. It would be cool to have not only hills but also events that you can see or maybe join, like if there's a bonfire on the beach somewhere or a Flowchella or anything that you see it on a map, a calendar. It's more an idea than a question, but would be a cool feature.
Thanks for that, Julie. So when you envision that, you envision seeing that for the first time on a map, or seeing that somehow on a home feed, or where would you want to be
Yeah, more
informed
on a
that you
sort
got a
of calendar and that you can filter on that calendar on location. Yeah, it would be cool. Location, date, and that you can say then, oh, I want to join, sort of something like that.
awesome. All right, I appreciate that. There's
Yeah.
there's kind of a little bit of a workaround in the groups, or to make a post and just kind of title it with your date and stuff. But I think a calendar option, that's sorting options, is a cool idea. If you guys love that idea too, pop it in the chats. It looks like you got a bunch of upvotes, so clearly people do kind
Yeah,
of
it was also
agree
already
there too.
mentioned in the chat also, so I think it's a good idea.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that idea. That's great.
Yep,
Yeah.
yeah, you did. You asked the question that Elena asked and we polled about. Awesome, Julie. Well, thank you so much. Nice to meet you. I'm gonna pop you
Right.
back down to
Bye-bye.
attendees.
Yes.
All right, take care. All right, was there another question? Let's see. Let's go back here to the Q&A. Phil on
Excellent,
Electric
Phil.
Passage. Phil, if you raise your hand really quick, I'm going to promote you. We're going to try to do this a lot quicker this time. Phil, go ahead and ask your question.
Everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, what's up? Um, Also, thanks, Julie. I love the events idea. I mean, obviously, hails and groups can be used for the same purpose, but we did an event recently. Logan knows about it, and we had people that told us that they sailed from really far away to come to the event, and so like the ability to maybe drop a pin for where the event's going to be would be something that would be unique. But
Cool.
my question was, you guys are doing such a great job in promoting the community of boaters, both through SeaPeople, but also through the YCA. So I was just curious, what is the relationship um, between the two?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll take that unless Caroline or Riley want to take it, or I'll start. So see, people spun out of kind of a known need from YCA. So when we were kind of coming up with YCA, we realized there's a real issue with how boaters can connect. You're missing people that were one anchorage ahead of you or one anchorage behind you, or as you're traveling around, or as a day boater, you don't really know who's nearby, right? You pull up your AIS and you can see their boat stats and stuff, but you can't see who's on the boat. And even our directory that we had on our website, it gets stale and outdated really quick, since people's locations aren't being updated unless they update them manually. So it was really important to figure out a way to have really good, up to date info on who your where and your friends are and what they're doing. So that kind of was the beginning of, well, this has to be in your pocket if we're going to keep it updated and people's locations updated often. So that means it needs to be an app. And then as we got into that, we separated everything because this kind of app and the need had nothing to do with YCA or had nothing to do with any particular, person or demographic. It had to do with every single boater, right? The more you look into it, you're like, wow, the ultimate dream would be you're on the ocean and you pull up your SeaPeople app, looks like you're on a sailboat, and you actually can get somebody on that tanker to talk to you, right? They're on the app too, right? They're on the app and they're tracking their miles because it's important for them to track. And you're tracking and you see each other. Now you're asking questions from people that typically either wouldn't answer the VHF call or they're too far off the horizon that your VHF doesn't work. So, for a DM or a hail style connection. So yeah, it's kind of they're separate companies. We're really excited to work with a lot of different groups, a lot of different associations that are starting to come in and build groups and share to their audiences too. And yeah, we hope that SeaPeople is a is a really good platform for YCA members to use, but the same as kind of any group members to use, right? How do they have an up-to-date directory? How do they talk to each other? How do they build community? How do they do all the things that like a bona fide organization like YCA would need to do?
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks, Phil. And thank you. If anybody doesn't know, so Phil hosts uh,
The Dinghy Disco.
the Dinghy Disco. Thank you. It's off the back of their boat, off the back of their boat around the world. I believe you made a group in the app too, right, Phil?
We haven't yet. You and I are going to
Okay,
talk
so
about that and
make a
make
group
sure
in
it
the
gets,
app. If
yeah,
go follow Phil, search for him on Electric Passage because wherever they are, the good time's going to follow. They
that's the idea. We're just
definitely,
getting started.
yeah, absolutely. They
Sick.
yeah, a bunch of dinghies pull up to the back of the boat and there's speakers and it's a full-on DJ experience. If you don't like the noise when you see Phil coming, maybe go to a different anchorage. I don't know.
Yeah, we left the nightclubs on shore, so we needed to make one on the water.
All right, cool.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right, thanks,
Thanks,
Phil.
man.
All right, so the next one. All right. This was from Massimo. We're going to answer this one because this is a good question. It's a hard question, and we appreciate the hard questions. He says he can't come on. Massimo is asking the difference between SeaPeople and no foreign land, because some of the people he talks to about SeaPeople and tries to bring them over to SeaPeople um, don't understand the difference between no foreign land and SeaPeople. And I think that's a really, really good question because um, it's hard to tell from an app store listing or from your own use of a different app where the differences lie until you explore them. And obviously, we hope that all of you that took the time to come here onto this webinar also kind of become really great ambassadors of SeaPeople, explaining what the differences are. So I'll start, and then anybody else that has something, please chime in. To start with, SeaPeople is not a points of interest app. So we're not built right now. Someday, maybe we bring in points of interest, like information about anchorages and things that are shoreside. But right now, we're focusing on the human element of boating, which is what your friends are doing, what people are talking about, and where they're going. So how are people connecting with each other? How are they sharing and all of the things that kind of build community. So it's that's been our focus from the beginning, as opposed to like a navigation app that tries to build community or a points of interest app for anchorages and stuff that also tries to do community. We can hyper focus on the community and the user experience and the user interface for pure community building. We also have the hail function. I think the hail function's big. The way that you share and you share to the feed so that you can interact if you want to be social or not be social. I'm going to stop there just so anybody else can actually chime in so I don't just drown out the conversation if anybody wants to.
I think you hit it on the head, which is I think fundamentally like we built like the foundations of SeaPeople to be like around people, right? So it's POI, I think people of interest versus points of interest, so people of interest, and then having up-to-date locations. A lot of apps have, like No Foreign Land, you have to move it, and anyway, there was just we just felt like if we had, if we really encouraged about people and we could and we had more live locations like as a fundamental technology block that we can unlock kind of a lot more things. So I think that's why it's different. And it's, I hope if you've used the app, you'll kind of see that right away. And I think that's where the difference was. And also I think we ship quicker, but anyway, that's just me.
Yeah, there's a lot of chasing happening now, which is it's exciting. It's exciting for us to see. Like we've launched about three different things that are kind of novel to these apps that are quickly kind of copied, which is good. It like makes us feel good. We're like, oh, we must be onto something. They wanted to copy that, but we hope to kind of stay ahead of the curve, and we hope to keep bringing you all things that you really want. And like I said earlier, we're really built for every boater and for shoresiders too, and for you to be an individual in the app. And that's a big difference. The other apps are built for cruisers, right? A cruiser identifies a lot of times as their boat, and that's totally fine. And you can do that and SeaPeople. But also, instead of passing the phone off between husband and wife to or partners on what you're going to do for yoga, with a friend on the next day, or any kind of chats, you can kind of stay an individual and SeaPeople. And cool. That's let's cut off Q&A there really quick. I apologize, we don't have more time. We let a lot of things go a little
Do we
long
keep
here.
going or does someone have a gun to our head or
Oh
we just
no, I
keep
mean
going?
that's fine. That's totally
No,
fine.
I'm just like, there's a lot of questions. I mean,
All right,
Yeah,
I
let's
can,
do it
we can
then.
keep
some
going.
answers.
If
Logan.
you guys are
Yeah,
good with
ready
it,
to
if you guys are
go.
Let him
good with
get
it, I'm good
after
with
it.
it.
Cracking his knuckles.
I want to bring in
I like the pirates one. The pirates one's good.
go ahead and read that one then, Michelle, if you would. I don't see that one right now.
I think it's from Gabriella in the UK. She says, "Is there a real risk of pirates using the app to track sailors?" And I think that question came up a lot when we launched the documentary on the Sail and Vagabond channel. Like that was probably one of the upvoted ones is what about pirates? And I was going to say we're going to add a pirate mode into this. No, but I'm joking. So I think this just goes back to it depends. It's up to you, and I think, whenever anyone goes up the Red Sea, you turn AIS off, and that's kind of what we wanted to do in the app is depending on where you are in the world, you have 100% control of who can see where you are. And I think with the new feature shipping this week with the web tracking, where your friends and family can see you live, but no one else can see you live, is going to help kind of connect the dots because we didn't have that until this week, literally, where either you were live in the app or you weren't, and you couldn't have that hybrid mode. So I think the hybrid mode now is going to be really, really useful, which is being hidden and deciding who's going to see where you're at. But also, again, being live, like I've been boating in the Bahamas last winter, and I was live, and people were like, "Oh, where are you going? Let's meet up." So there's so much serendipitous, cool boating things happen, I think, by being live. But then again, you know where you're boating, you know what the risk factors are. It's fully in your control to do that. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, we've thought about pirates a lot when we're building this app, and just make sure you have control, right, of your own
make the
destiny.
right decision. And also, this is somewhere where I think we're shining and we can show that we have the bandwidth to build things that are really important to you, even if they're not the sexy things that make people download or pay for things or whatever, that
Yeah,
it takes a lot of dev power to build this privacy. And you'll notice I'm not going to call out any of the other platforms, but possibly all of the ones that we get compared to every once in a while. You can go to their website and they're broadcasting pretty much everyone's location all the time, because they don't have the same kind of privacy stuff that we have. So
correct.
these unique links, when you share your web tracking link, even for somebody like Riley and Elena now, they can share their web tracking link to friends and family and know that that unique link is just for them. Nobody else can search that and see them live on a website somewhere, right? And see where they're located like you can on some other platforms. So that unique link that you share for your web tracking is it's not forward slash Riley on purpose, right? It's forward slash a very long string of numbers. You can also do a new one if you think that that got shared, right? If for whatever reason. So you can make it make your sharing as public and private as you want.
And you can turn it off. And I think I've been thinking of putting a panic button in there as well, which is basically an auto hail. So imagine something happens. So there's actually some really cool safety features we can put in the app now. Again, we know where people are at. We can do an auto hail, like a 911 hail to people around you, super silently. So I think we're thinking of putting a lot of safety features in. So just the beginning.
Yeah, imagine going down and towards your local boat ramp, or coming back to your boat or sailing in a new area, and because of those safety features, thinking into the future, if you're in on the mission and you're in on the dream, you're like, well, the things that we can possibly do someday if you stick with us are essentially get warnings, right? Like there's no reason why you can't get a warning that there's a water quality warning and there's a water quality issue in the lake that you're on right now, right? These are things that are all possible in the future, right? Or that there's piracy in your area or anything like that. So yeah, super excited for that kind of stuff.
That emergency or 911 button that Jean-Michel,
Panic
yeah, that's incredible. I've been sort of, and we need to concentrate on the things that are most important for the app, but I've been pushing for that one for a while.
Well, I think that is really important for the app.
Because what the one thing that springs to mind was, remember when we were in the Bahamas and that massive storm came over
Yeah.
and it changed the direction of the wind,
Forecast storm.
and everyone, there was like 4 boats wound up, like they dragged anchor and were on the beach, and everyone was in panic stations. And something like that was one of the things when we were talking about the app early on, is if you could push that, and you can do it now with a hail. And for sure, that would have stopped a lot of people having a lot of problems if everyone had SeaPeople with the hail function. But that emergency 911, and if you opt into that and you're like, yes, I'm happy to have my phone alert and buzz, that would just be such a massive safety bonus.
Yeah,
I've seen stuff
exactly
like
that.
that happen a few times.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Julie has had a lot in here. I'm going to go ahead and just tell you, Julie, and for just to keep anybody around that is getting antsy in their seat. Julie asked about can we give a little sneak peek of what's next, and we will definitely do that in here in just a sec. We'll talk about what's coming next. Shane, I'm going to let Shane in. Shane he put a question over in the chat, but I'm going to promote Shane to panelist because we love Shane, and Shane, I would love to say hey face to face here, and you can ask the question that you were asking there in the group chat about classifying vessels is where Shane was. Sorry, I didn't give you much warning. If you don't have to turn your screen if you don't want.
No, I'm here just figuring out this app. Hey, nice to hear your guys' voices. Yeah, I thought it would be cool to be able to classify different vessels in different categories based on their propulsion, like whether they're sail or power only or human powered. And then to add some complexity to that, it would be nice to be able to click more than one option for a vessel. And then depending on the trip, whether you motored or you sailed, or like I have a dinghy that I row more often than I sail. But if I did sail it, I'd want to mark it as a sailing trip type of deal. I was just wondering if you guys had any plans for something like that in the future.
Go ahead. Do you want to start, Jean-Michel?
Yeah, we've had a lot of questions about, boat types, and I want my boat, or I want to be able to customize the boat photo as well. Like there's a lot there. So I think stay tuned. I think again, we're 4 months in now. And there's tons of things, but I think like just helping people have a really good quality logbook is kind of really neat. Like the other thing I want to be able to do is go to your logbook and say, hey, show me my paddle boards versus my cigar boat race down in Miami, like you can figure out, you can do different things like that. And also, I mean, a sneak peek, I mean, SeaPeople, if I assume some of you have figured this out, like it's not rocket science, but it's going to turn into basically, I think, the world's renowned cruising guide, right? It's where you're going to plan your trips. You're going to go, hey, I want to go from here and there. What are my options? And we go, hey, here's where people have been. So I think going, hey, I want a paddleboard today versus I want to go on a sailing trip is going to be more and more important as we get folks in. So we've thought about this. Stay tuned. I love the feedback. Thanks, Shane.
Awesome.
Yeah, Shane, that's really good. And one thing that would maybe come into that big time is the heat maps. I don't know if anybody has seen, if they've done with the interactive logbook or they saw when we were doing the tutorial of the interactive logbooks, there's some starting to play around with heat mapping and track lines there. So um, um, when you were if I would imagine if you're going between your different vessels, you would have some value too in seeing what track you took that last time, but on your different when you were sailing your dinghy, right? It's like a reminder of like, oh, how did I go? The
Well,
current
that's
way
the number
better
one
than
question. Where's the dinghy dock? It's like turn
Yeah.
on dinghy mode in the anchorage and see where the dinghies go. Like so. I think yeah. Now that tracking is really good, anyway, we've got some really great users. I think we're going to be putting a lot more boat types. I think for exactly that, Shane. Like you want to find some inspiration. It's different if you're cigar boating or paddle boarding, and yeah. So stay
Yeah,
tuned. Love it.
love it. Also, if you were trying to show hours for like getting a captain's license or something, you could make it more accurate by not including, paddling or what have you.
Exactly. Well,
uh,
actually, that's a good hidden feature, Shane, that we didn't talk about. Do you know on a trip you can actually decide not to include it in your stats?
I
So there's
did
a
see
little.
that. Yeah, that's
Okay.
true.
So that's all we added that because we're like a lot of people have been using SeaPeople to tell people where they're going this year. They're like, hey, here's my year plan, and you end up drawing, here's what my itinerary is. And you kind of don't want that to be part of your stats, et cetera. So we add that toggle. But yeah, I think you're right. Like be able to split by stats by boat type and then be able to find, dinghy rides, et cetera, would be, yeah, awesome. Yeah.
All right,
Can you write
thanks,
code? Do
guys.
you want to come help us?
Hey, maybe.
Okay.
Thanks, Shane. I'm going to pop you down to attendee. It's really good to hear your voice.
Yep, you too.
Take care. Jean-Michel, Caroline, Riley, or Lena, did you see or notice any of the questions in the Q&A that you that rose to the surface? If not, I'll
Um,
go ahead.
well, I was just going to say I answered one and typed it out, so I don't think it went to the answered section, but Um, it was from JT, and he was actually asking about. He says, "I wanted to start boating lessons slash classes in NYC, but all I've been able to find was a 2-day weekend class through Atlantic Yachting. Is there another option more long term in the city? Thanks." So this one rang true to my heart because Logan and I actually used to own Atlantic Yachting, which is a sailing school in New York City, and now the current owner, Jonathan, he is on SeaPeople, and he's also started a group that is, I think it's called Learning to Sail. So you can go to SeaPeople and either try to find Jonathan and ask him about sailing in the city, or you can go join the group in SeaPeople. But it also kind of brings to the point of why, another reason why like SeaPeople was a big project and goal of Logan and I is like owning the sailing school. We had all of these students who would take a 2-day course, and then they would say, what next? Now what do we do? How do we get on the water more? And so I think it is for a lot of people who take that initial like ASA 101, which is like a basic keelboat course. You take that, you get your certification. You're not quite ready to buy a boat, but you want to get out on the water more. And so that's where SeaPeople can come in through Hales groups, just looking for crew, try to find people around your area, get together for happy hours, talk about sailing, like just trying to like make more community around even people shoreside who have only sailed 2 days in their life, just learned to sail. Like you still want to be a part of that, like that culture, that and that kind of like communal group of sailors that are shoreside or wherever you may be. So anyway, that's a cool question that kind of like stood out for me that I wanted to answer. But yeah.
Small world. Yeah, definitely. If you're
Yeah.
learning to sail and you're learning to get into it, this is a perfect place to be to try to get out on boats and try to meet people and get your questions answered for sure.
Yeah.
Darren asks about racing and regatta tracking. He says it would be awesome. Um, Darren, I'm assuming what you're mentioning is tracking where multiple vessels are showing on the regatta and and saving it. And if that's wrong, pop it into the chat really quick. But the that's definitely on our radar. You're not the first person to request it. We have some rallies going across like Pacific Puddle Jump and a couple other people that have requested that we can get the whole group or a whole regatta kind of populated onto one map so you can see where everybody is. So I don't know if that's been scoped at all by the devs or yet or not,
We
but I
we
will say that
started. I
it's
mean,
on our radar.
again, like we've been thinking about this for a while. I mean, if I'm sure a bunch of you have used YB Races, it was probably built in the 80s and hasn't been touched since. And I think one of the things we want to do is help that. So right now, what you can do is you can create a group for your racing thing, and then again, you can actually show only the people in the group on the map. So if you do want to do some little regattas, and then I think we're going to be adding more and more to the groups around let's say you have a racing club and you're like, hey, we've got a race group. I want to have the people in my group and have like control who's in it and say who's going to show up for our Wednesday race. And they can click yes, me, me, me. And then you can record the tracks and then you can replay them. So I think there's going to be a lot. Like there's so many shoresiders who aren't like full-time cruisers who, want to keep stats and they want to boat with other folks. And I think what's really cool now is, hopefully as I'm talking through this, you're like, oh, most of this sounds like it's built. It kind of is. We have the great tracking and we have foundations, we have live tracking. And now I think you're going to see, let's really quickly put a lot of these pieces together now. And I think we're going to put a lot of this in groups and the ability to have groups that are, that you have like buddy boating, you can see tracks and you can go through and go see what the race looked like and rewind it. So a lot of that is kind of in the app now. We have a lot of UX to have that come together. But I think, I used to race Hobie 18s and it's a fun thing to have all your tracks, and especially together, not just seeing yours, but seeing them all together. So yeah, stay tuned. A lot's going to come out around that.
Cool. Um, the chat's going is definitely slowing down. Let's do a little recap here. Number one, we want to hear your stories. We want to hear from you. Don't ever, ever, ever hesitate to send the SeaPeople official or any of us a DM and say, "Hey, I've got this great story. I've got this great story of the way that we were helped because of the app, or this great use of the app that we found." We want to hear those stories. They motivate us, right? They keep us going. We'd love to share them too if you want us to share them, but also it helps us kind of know where to point our energy and feel like we're doing it right. So let's Riley and Elena, do you kind of want to take a sec just to chat with the people that are still here and let them know ways that they can help us achieve our goals?
Yes. Well, you mentioned people sharing their stories. That is one way you could help us. If you ever feel inclined to share your story, we would personally love to reshare. It could just be a talk to camera like, hey, I didn't have to subscribe to this, what is it, the sat phone membership or whatever because of SeaPeople, or I got this job because of SeaPeople. Anyway, if you feel inclined to share your story, you can shoot me a DM and we can come up with something simple. But mostly, if you're able to invite your friends to the app just by sharing your profile to other social platforms, then they'll click and they can follow you and they'll join us on the app too. That's a great way you can help us.
And leave a good review as well. I think Logan touched on it earlier, where probably everyone watching this is like very interested in SeaPeople, and we would love to continue that and take the notes and advice that you've given us to make the app better and to make excellent little ambassadors out of you all. So if you could all help us out and go and leave a good review, that would be so amazing for us. We'd really appreciate it.
In the App Store, yep, that would be amazing.
Yeah, the App Store reviews are important. We live and die by the reviews, and it's hard when you're building, right? Because we're 4 months in, like Jean-Michel said, we're 4 months in. We have a ton of users on this platform. Um, can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Wow.
So let me finish that thought. So there's going to be bugs, there's going to be issues. We love it if you're patient with us. We also love it if you're loving the app. It's always harder to get people to go leave a positive review of a restaurant than a negative one, right? Like you leave and you're like, wow, that food was great. So take a minute, if you would, after this call, if you are loving what we're doing, and I hope any of you that have been sitting here with us for an hour and 26 minutes are loving what we're doing. But yeah, take a minute and go to the App Store and leave a review, and it's a huge help. What Elena was talking about there, as far as inviting friends, you can hit the invite button and copy links, share it directly to other people. You can also share your profile the same way. If you go to any of your trips, you can do that. You can even share other people's trips. So you see something that just looks awesome, you can share that trip. Anytime you share that stuff, it sends them to a landing page where they can see that fun stuff, see your profile, see about you without having to actually even have the app. And if they're loving it, then they'll download the app too. So the more you all share with your friends, and the more good people that you bring in to see people, the better.
Hmm.
I'll give a shameless plug for for the paid plans too here, because we do definitely we want to keep the lights on. We all want to keep See People going. The See People Plus plans are $1.50 a week. That's what it breaks down to. So if you think about that, that's like 20 times cheaper than Netflix or something like that. Um, and and yeah, we help you get a tan and we help you make friends. So we help you do fun things on the water. So um, yeah, there's some features are behind the plus and patron plans. You get a really cool badge to help show the world that you're supporting what we're doing, which we really appreciate. And we love seeing those badges in the app. So if the features
Thank you.
speak to you and you need the features behind plus and premium, cool. But also if you just love what we're doing and believe in the mission, and want to show that support that way too, it's immensely appreciated. So, um, any final closing statement, Jean-Michel or Caroline or Riley and Elena, or anything you want to say?
Just thanks everyone. It's kind of cool to start every day with what are people doing around the world, you know. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think yeah, thank you all. Like it's amazing to read these comments, and it's like lighting a fire within you, like to keep making the product better and strengthening the community of all boaters around the world. So it's pretty, yeah, inspiring. So thank you for being here and taking time out of your day to chat with us. Really appreciate it.
Ryan and Elena's screen is frozen at the moment, so I'll just hop in really quick.
Exactly. Thank you.
Bummer.
You're all
The
amazing.
funny question from Adnan. Sorry if I butchered your name. He says IPO question mark question mark question mark. Let's hope someday. It'd be great if we get to the point where that See People has the user base and the value, that that it gets to be something, big. So we all want to make it right now an app that brings real utility to your life, and makes your life better on the water, allows you to connect with more people, create more in real life chances to get together, makes the water safer and more fun and more enjoyable. So thank you, everybody. I'm sure Riley and Elena are gutted that their internet just disconnected, and they can't say goodbye. So yeah, thanks everybody. Really appreciate you being here. I'll end on one note. We are about to cross 4 million miles logged in See People. So anybody that's still here, um, just wanted to leave with that crazy tidbit. That's almost 1 million miles have been tracked using the tracking software in See People, and another 3 million miles that people have brought in from their smartwatches, from their chart plotters, anything with a GPX file, or drawn. So bring over your history, bring over all of your past trips, draw in your past ones, do whatever you can to build. Yes, you're right, Guru Dan. That is 1 million a month. That it's pretty mind-boggling, and we appreciate you all for putting a piece of your life into See People, and we hope that the logbooks and everything around it are something that you can really enjoy and especially enjoy sharing. So thanks to everybody. We really appreciate you, and have a great night.
Yeah. And you recorded this, Logan, right? So we can put it up somewhere. Somebody was asking about
Yeah, we'll
that.
try to get it up somewhere on YouTube or somewhere as well, so people can watch it.
Okay.
So, thanks everybody. Appreciate you, and have a great night.
Good night.